was a cream cheese. You got a long wait. Yes, yeah.
Burnt and toasted.
Yeah. You should have seen this. I've never seen anyone like
We
it.
heard about it. I saw the truck, so.
Two trucks. We had
Two
two
trucks.
Mr. Spartan trucks there. And at the same time this was going on, the painter showed up and said, well,
Oh,
you're ready
no.
for the bathroom now. I'm like, oh, I forgot all about them, you know, so I had them running around here. Yeah, yeah. So tomorrow I get the repair.
Hello.
Type of coming to look at my refrigerator. Look at how that is. The old one out in the back porch that has a microchip. It's like, it's just.
But I think we should use page too.
I think that's very.
No, fine. This one is recorded. It looks like it's Lisa Vicky. No? Okay. So I'm not sure. I did that.
Well,
You.
Oh, I got something so better.
Okay.
We're getting out in the yard briefly today.
I need to book. What am I gonna ask you? Yeah, are you taking a class? Pardon? No, I don't. Do that. Check my notes. Yeah, I looked at. Question. Just call on. Friend of mine, I'm trying to say, you know, college study. And, so
Yeah.
Is that what?
No, that's not. Hold on.
They adjourned at item 8. They never
Yeah.
went into private session, but they came into this session.
This should, the adjournment shouldn't be there. This is the official adjournment. They did
They
go
never
into.
entered.
All right.
There's
I'm
not
gonna
an
send it your way.
Right.
It looks like it's time. Matt, we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Calling the planning commission meeting for February 3, 2025 to order. Could we call the attendance, please?
Sure. Commissioner Adler,
Here.
Commissioner Greer,
Here.
Commissioner Holdren,
Present.
Commissioner Lavity,
Here.
Commissioner McGowan,
Here.
and Commissioner Weitzel.
Here,
You have quorum.
Excellent, thank you. So the first item on our agenda is to select a new chair and vice chair. Just to get the conversation rolling, I move that we elect Jim McGowan as chair, since he is our most knowledgeable member about the planning process and planning commissions in general.
I don't know about that.
well, I would certainly,
A long running commissioner who knows what's been going on.
We don't.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Do you accept the nomination, Jim? No. Okay.
Too early for that. Thank you.
Anyone else want to volunteer? Wow.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll volunteer to be either chair or vice chair. I'd be more comfortable as vice chair since I'm new. Paul, would you be chair because you've been a town council member?
I would actually be more comfortable as a vice in a supporting role, not
Okay.
having been here before.
Okay,
And I was gonna mention that to Jim before he politely declined, that I'm happy to be in a supporting role. But I don't think that, I have the background just yet to be in a lead role.
yeah, that's what I feel like too. I mean, I'm hoping to get some training. That's, as we talked about, a bunch of training. Yeah.
If that makes a difference. It may not.
Okay, well, Casey, I'll nominate you to be chair and Paul to be vice chair. We can, I guess, do it in one motion. Is there a second? Okay, we have a vote. Do we need a roll call or?
I would do a roll call for this one.
Okay,
Okay, real quick though, because I'm not quite sure on everybody's names yet. So who seconded that? You and you're Mr. Lavity, correct? Okay. Okay, roll call. This is affirming Commissioner Adler, Commissioner Greer,
I,
Commissioner Holdren,
Aye.
Commissioner Labadie.
Yep.
Commissioner McGowan,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Weitzel.
I abstain because I think I'm voting for myself.
well, that's true. I just voted for myself too. I'm voting for you. So
I think it's okay.
It's fine. You don't need to abstain.
Yeah,
It's permittable, of course.
okay.
So Casey, can I turn the meeting over to you?
I guess you can. All right. All right. Yeah. Okay. So we need to approve the minutes of November 4th. They're from long ago and far away and an entirely different group of people. Does
There's-
anybody have any comments on the minutes or any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I have a question on item 10, Commissioner action.
Push the little button.
The middle, okay, yeah. I just had a question on item 10. The Commissioner Dillon moved to appoint John Labadie.
So that's probably gonna
Appoint
happen.
to what?
Planning Commission. But I will insert that.
What happened at the background on that meeting is that John was appointed. I had also applied, but John was appointed, but it turns out that while the planning commission could recommend, it could not make the final decision. So Maphis, in 3 minutes, it was like this because Maphis nominated me and I won by a majority vote with 1 abstention and 1 no. So I became the representative and the nomination from the planning commission was on hold. So because the town council gets to make the appointments, not the
Right.
commission.
Yeah, okay. So, but at the time, the planning commission thought they,
Right,
okay,
right,
I get it.
right. And then we had a little excitement in that in the
Okay,
town council meeting.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
Yeah, and also Sarah brought up that the meeting adjourned out at 6:36. This is item number 8, adjourned. The private. The closed section started at 6:36.
Okay, was the closed session, item 10 was the closed session? Was that it, the nomination? It's not clear what the closed session was.
There's a reason it's closed.
Yeah, it's closed, so we don't talk about it.
I know, but was it may I ask if it had to do with personnel? Okay, all right, someone will tell me later.
There
I'll
should
find
be,
out.
there should be a note saying that you're going into closed session
Yeah.
for the purposes of real
Right.
estate,
Right.
legal, et cetera, not
And it's-
specifically what you're doing. And then when
Right.
you come out, you affirm that
Right, right, so
nothing else
that's
was
not,
discussed.
so that's actually missing from the minutes, is the closed session is missing from the minutes. Okay, now I got you.
So
All right.
will those be amended?
I don't believe we know the motion that was made to enter. That's the issue.
Yeah, so the motion was made to accept the minutes. So now the time is to say that they need to be amended.
Is there anything that would allow us to approve these at the next meeting? I've got to
Right.
double check something. I think I might have combined 2 meetings together.
I think that may be the case.
Yeah, are you guys okay with that?
I can live with that.
Okay, I think this last page was part of something else, honestly.
Okay,
Okay, so we're going to, do you want me to
Just-
send them out email and you have to approve them in public, but.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
approve them in public, but you can always send them in advance for proofread.
yeah, we can look at them and then we'll approve them at the next meeting.
I apologize for that.
You've got a lot of minutes on your mind, so believe me. Okay. Okay. Does anybody have a public comment that they wanted to make? No? Okay. All right. New business is review and discuss bylaws. And Matt, could you give us a context for this?
Sure, I'm glad to, thanks. We actually, in the
ordinances of the town do not have a planning commission bylaw. So the purpose of this would be to approve bylaws that would then be inserted into the town's
Right.
ordinance. Right now, there are none.
Okay, all right, well, it's a problem, so, all right, very good. Okay, the,
One last thing, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
The second version where I wrote old on it,
yeah,
that is what I found on our network under bylaws planning commission. It
oh,
has no bearing on anything other than the fact that I found a copy of something.
yeah,
That's the thing that I found. I used that as a baseline for the
okay,
bylaws that are here, but obviously I trued it up to,
okay,
okay.
all right.
So
So, so just so I'm clear, Matt, so you found this, but it was never adopted.
Correct.
Thank you.
Talked about training a long, long time ago.
But not by the town council, as it says here. Okay.
I don't know that it has to be in the town code. It's just bylaws for the commission.
Bylaws, but it was, I mean, it could have been 35 years ago. Yeah, but I don't think you're right. It's never approved by, matter of fact, it's never been codified or approved by anybody. You can get it. They can get a search for it.
Okay,
So which version are you proposing?
Draft version.
The draft version was for your discussion and the extent of my,
I've got a few comments on the draft. If I could go ahead or
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
appropriate. In the first section authorization, it should read, the Code of Virginia instead of Commonwealth of Virginia Code. And that carries over, I believe, a few more pages to, pages aren't numbered, to 3-256 under hearings.
so it would be of the Code of Commonwealth of Virginia, strike,
No, it's
Just
just Code of Virginia.
Code of Virginia.
Mhm.
Okay, I've got it. Thank you. Now, which was the second?
Let's see, what did I say? 3-256 under hearings. You have the Virginia State Code. Under one.
Yep.
Do you see it?
Yep.
My next comment, and this is just something I'd like to throw out for discussion. Where it says the commission shall consist of 7 members. The Code of Virginia allows for 5 to 11 members.
Yes,
And I'm wondering if we should change that to 5, given our size and the difficulty we have in getting appointees. It's just a thought, but I thought I would throw it out since the Code of Virginia does allow that change.
I just was reading that today.
If we make that change, I'm happy to resign.
I thought about 5 to 7,
Well, I
but
understand.
then that would leave us with
But it's
no one
vice
to take a
chairman.
vote.
Well, that's, you can be, but no, I mean, that's the thing, if we're going, I'm just looking at the numerics of it, right?
I'm just throwing
Yeah.
things out.
Well, okay,
We could think about it for the future. I mean, we don't have to do anything.
okay. good
Just a
enough.
thought. My next thought on the second paragraph, do we want to make, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, don't resign. No.
It's not, you're not.
Do we want to make some provisions for attending remotely? It just seems in this day
Nice.
and time, it would be wise
just-
to throw something in.
We just redid the bylaws for the Library Foundation and we actually put in a specific thing that allowed attendance via, I forget what we put it because we didn't know what the media would be in the future. So we actually put in a provision that said that that was allowable and that votes from somebody who was attending online were allowed.
Yeah, the town council also has addressed that by saying you could attend remotely, but you have to disclose basically where you are and why you couldn't attend.
And that's fine, because rather than an unexcused absence,
Do
so.
we have a limit on it, Matt? Should we have a limit too?
I thought VML was 2. Or is that 2
It-
absences, or is it 2, is it, I think if you're attending remotely, you are considered absent?
No, you're allowed to vote,
Okay,
so you're not absent, but I think if, if I would rather sit in my living room and do this meeting and do it 12 times in a row,
Right,
It has to be.
right.
If we're gonna, I think we should allow for remote attendance, but we should restrict it or control it in some fashion. And we could do that, could we not, just by saying it, that a request to the chair or a restriction of the number?
you want to just put 3 on the table, for lack of a better
Okay.
number.
I'll take 3.
All right,
May object? Okay.
Just use the same language that's in the town council.
Leslie?
Right.
Yeah, I would use existing text.
Just use the
From
same
the-
language that's there for the town council.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I
Okay.
would have done. I would have done that.
Yeah,
The next thing I was thinking about was, on 3-255 order of business. It's odd to me that we would do new business before old business. Do we, why don't we do that? Am I missing something? I thought normally it was old business.
it's old
before
business
new.
first, usually. Yeah, what I would suggest is old business, just reverse old business and new business. Yes,
And Cynthia, if I may, while we're on that, I was looking at some other communities' agendas because the agendas do drive the meetings. And with Abington, one of the things they do is that they'll have in the agenda, since we're talking about the agenda, they have an item early on after the approval of minutes, which is public comments on items not in the agenda. And then they have for the items that are under consideration, then public comments concerning the item. And
I think the town council is considering going to a system like that too.
Mhm.
and that's one of the reasons I brought it up, and I just
Yeah.
think that would be, since we're talking about 3.2.55 and the altering the agenda, that would be an appropriate addition that after the vote on the minutes, we have public comment listed, which would be correct, but it'd be for items not
right.
in the agenda. And then after each item that's being considered before a discussion and vote, we would have public comment.
Well, that would be a public hearing. You would, if you're voting on something, you would have a public hearing, so you would
Right,
have comments at the public hearing.
hearing, yes,
Yeah.
but I think I think we have to allow for public comment, even if we're just
Oh, no, I
discussing.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
what I'm hearing you say is that you want people to be able to comment on what you're discussing
Yes.
Yes,
as you discuss it.
Contemporaneous with discussing it, yes.
So after the commissioners have their voice, everybody in the audience gets 3 minutes
Or everybody in the audience gets,
or whatever. We
yeah,
use
whatever-
3 minutes.
whatever amount of time it is.
And then
before
that,
the
and
commissioners.
then the next item, you have your voice and then everybody in
Right.
the audience gets 3 minutes.
Right, my inclination would be to let the public talk first, and then they have the commissioners talk, but
That's,
yeah, that's a distinction without meaning, I think.
so did I
Yes.
regurgitate
Yes.
what you meant? Okay,
Yes,
all right.
what I intended.
so one of the things that's confused me as I've gone to town council meetings is when a planning commission hearing is held at the beginning before there's a town council meeting. And then the planning commission all gets up and walks out. And I don't, you've experienced that where there's that their hearings are held right before there's the town council meeting, right?
That's a joint public.
It's a
That's
joint
called a
public
joint
hearing.
public hearing. All right, then it's a joint public hearing. Okay.
It's simply a time-saving device because we have to have two hearings
Yeah.
for certain things, so having them at the same time,
Okay.
that's why they finish theirs, they close those, and then they get up and leave because it's a town council meeting at that
Yeah.
point.
Cynthia, you're.
I'm done. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one other one that's, well, two really, just for consideration. That, for 3251 membership. That, in the second paragraph, it says, all members for terms of 4 years. And I didn't know if we wanted to make that 2 years. Just to, I mean,
Right.
Cynthia is absolutely correct. It's difficult to generate enough volunteers. But I'm also thinking that perhaps it would be good to have a little more flow through on council. And doing that once every 2 years versus, not council, I'm sorry, the commission, once every 2 years versus once every 4 years would be good for the town. And we could just say, and people are allowed to be reappointed
Yeah.
if we want, right?
Thing would be that someone who barely acquired the expertise to be effective and then be gone,
Well, if it takes 2 years to acquire the expertise and be effective,
barely.
right,
You usually
May-
in your second year.
maybe it's good that they're gone. And,
I
and
think you
well, I would propose 2 years and that we can just see what everybody else thinks. I understand what you're saying. And I do, but, I'm just thinking maybe 2 years is a better timeframe. I hear you. The other thing is, with reappointment, so you do have the 4 years, we can stop there and see what other folks think. Madam Chairman, or what would you prefer?
What you mean, you specifically want to talk about reappointments, or you want to talk about the terms, this terms first? I think 4 is asking a lot of people, or it sounds like a lot to people. I don't know whether we want to split the difference and say 3, but I appreciate your point about developing expertise, but I think if we work in the next few months in developing our expertise, which I would very much like to see in terms of some training, being led through the state code, see what online training is available to us as a group and stuff like that, then I think we should be able to get up to speed pretty well. So as long as reappointment is possible, I'm okay with a 2-year term, because someone may get on this and discover this is not their cup of tea at all. And then they'll just quit in the middle of a term. So, I can see going for a shorter term with the possibility of reappointment, but that's kind of conditional on us getting, I think everybody up here, except for Cindy, who's been at this for a while, and Jim, who was at it at the county level, I need training. I want some training and to get, so I really understand the process and the issues. So
I guess my question is also, how do we handle like the 5 to 7? We're just getting it out right now. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I certainly don't want anyone to go off. That's correct.
No, I know that. I'm just trying to ask what we're doing just in terms
I
of.
think we need to come up with a new draft, don't you? And then we'll
Yeah.
go over
Right.
that one more time.
Yeah.
Super. Then the other thing is it on 3.253 election of officers?
In the new draft, do you want 4 years or 2 years?
I was gonna speak in favor of splitting the difference and going for three because I hear John's point. It
Mhm.
takes some time. And we're, the training isn't always available. We have a lot to do with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
Falls out of
So-
alignment with council elections and things like that. I'm not sure that matters, but
Well, I'm gonna jump in here because my other comment is on 3.2.5.3 election of officers. I see that the organizational meeting will be held in September, and elections will take place at that time. And I was thinking that council, I think, is certified in January. And so it seems to me that if we're gonna have a change in council, then any appointments to the planning commission should be then in February, the month afterwards, to give the new council
I agree.
the
That was
chance
one of the ones that,
to mold the planning commission to, or let me rephrase that. I didn't mean it that way. To let the town have the changes reflected in the planning commission. Sarah.
February or March. It's a brilliant point, I think.
yeah, September doesn't make
This is
sense.
just for election of officers on the commission.
Right.
This
Right.
is not for appointing people to the commission. Just
My
this
guess
section
is-
here.
My guess is that that's an artifact of when the town elections were in May before the
Yeah.
switch to November and taking office
Hmm.
in January. So switching off of September makes a whole lot of sense. And just a question about term times with the everybody coming on at the same time of the current commission composition, would it be well to create some shorter terms among yourselves to stagger it so there's not a complete turnover again the next time around?
What you can do is you can put a thing in the bylaws that says, but the problem is that tends to happen when you're organizing it, starting an organization, right? So now we've got an established organization with this problem. But usually we did in the foundation, when everybody came on all at once, it was, some people were 1 year, some people were 2, and some were 3.
I would-
But-
See, to some extent, we're doing that now just because of the circumstance. I mean, is anybody opposed to doing that? I'm set for 2 because that's my term.
Mhm.
Right. And Sarah, I think that's an excellent point. I was thinking about that. That also, I think somewhere that it talks about 1, 2, and 4 years in terms of appointing the, initially, when the planning commission, I believe the language in the initial creation of the planning commission, they talked about multiple appointments of different years. I didn't bring that with me.
I think I read it in the code too, Paul.
And so I would, I think that having us have different durations is an excellent idea.
The question is, I mean, is that something that goes into the bylaws for the first? We did that at the foundation again. Actually, it was in the Articles of Incorporation, but that said this first time around, we're going to have them be 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, it was just assumed that there would be sort of a pattern, and we don't have one. So I don't know what
Well, couldn't we change the second sentence in that second paragraph of 3-251? Where it talks about the terms for the members. I mean, we've had some discussion about what the term should be, so I honestly feel like we could work out the terms between us.
Could we use the original? Well, we can do that, and to allow us to do that, we could use the language in the originating language for the planning commission where they talk about different
Did you get that, Matt?
lengths
I'm
of
gonna
terms.
look
I'm asking,
for
not
it.
telling.
He's suggesting we incorporate the language from the code about staggered terms.
I'm reading it right now where it says the term of.
Okay.
All members shall be appointed by the town council on terms of 4 years. I understand exactly what you all are talking about. Some things, reality is gonna take hold and say, you're gonna be here for 2 years. You know, you're gonna need to take a sabbatical or something, and then you know, you're gonna have to, it's just gonna life cycle itself through. And then you just simply complete the term for the seat that you've,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, that way.
Isn't this really the town council's decision?
Yeah, it is the town council's decision
It
about
should
terms, I think.
refer to their policy, but we're not setting the terms.
Right.
Planning commissioners. I did notice that in 3-251, the second paragraph, it keeps saying the council member's term. That needs to be corrected throughout that paragraph.
Thank you.
So Jim, I'm not real
Be-
clear.
It's in all cases, the commissioner member's term shall correspond with the tenure of the office. Oh, that's just if a council member
Yeah.
like Cindy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
I'm not grasping how this would be staggered. Are we just gonna say life is gonna take care of it?
What?
That's a pretty
I mean,
good
someone
chance of
could
that.
drop dead and then we would have a new term, right.
I'm not
Well,
sensing
who's been
any
here?
plan here.
I know, I don't, I'm
I'm new.
I'm trying to figure this out. Yeah, me too, you know. We're, all-
I think Cynthia, you've been here before,
No.
right? But who else is new?
We have to
I've never been
administer.
on the
I'm
planning
new.
commission.
no, we're all
I
new.
thought you've been on the planning commission.
No, okay.
So everybody's new. All right. Well, we're going to be going through a draft. Why don't we meditate on this on this particular problem?
I can
we're gonna
also
see-
shoot an email off to our attorney and find out if they.
Right.
get
Right,
it.
that would be really helpful. And on top of that, establishing the terms, I think, is probably town council's responsibility because they do the appointments.
Well, they're the ones who are going to approve these bylaws to go into the ordinance anyway.
Right.
So if
Right.
they don't like what you say, it's not
Right.
going in.
Okay.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Okay, I also, and again, since I just went through bylaws with the foundation, we actually, instead of saying just the name of the board shall be the Town of Onancock Planning Commission, we actually put a statement of purpose in that paragraph. The purpose of the planning commission is to, and in this case, we could draw on the state code or, you know, something like that, but we actually had so it wasn't just the name of it was a statement of purpose. You know, what,
I
And-
can, I
and
could draw
also-
that from
yeah.
the state.
yeah,
State code.
the state code has a nice statement on it,
Yeah.
so we can use that. Okay,
Yeah, no, I think state code has that. One thing, if we're still just blue skying, if you will, that, I think that, I don't know what code says about this, but in terms of, the name or the description, the fact that we are an advisory board to the town council. Right? And I think that sometimes that advisory function too is lost or somehow.
there's language for that in the state code too, pretty near the top. Then, and so it could be that, you know, whether that goes into, that's part of the authorization, I would say, is that the commission's established by a resolution and it's by the Onancock Town Council and the purpose was this, and that it would
Right.
be in an advisory capacity. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you can put the code citation in here.
yes,
And I think it's 15.2-2210
Right.
is the one that authorizes creation of local planning commissions. But there's language in there.
yeah, there's
describing
language
what
we can
the
borrow.
purpose is.
Okay. Okay, anything else about this? I think that's a lot. That's a lot because this is, people aren't used to thinking too much about bylaws. I spent a lot of time thinking about bylaws last
Yeah,
fall.
thanks for, Cindy, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah,
Yes. And
I got. I know I read that earlier and I understood it and just looking at it, I
yep,
mixed it up.
And also I'd like to thank staff and the town manager for.
yeah, getting us started.
Draft, because
Yep,
makes things a lot more efficient
yeah, I agree.
and effective.
It's much easier to start with a written document and work off that than
Mhm.
trying to,
Thank you.
yeah. So, are we gonna close this, comment on, I'll close this old business with, we're just going to, look at we'll have a revised draft to study at the next meeting.
New
Yeah.
business A, close it, yes.
Yeah.
Do we need a vote for that? I don't know. Roberts.
I don't think so. We didn't have a motion, so
Yeah.
we didn't have a motion.
Good enough.
No, so,
I failed to make a motion to amend the agenda to add training. If I might so move to add training as
excellent.
new
To
business under
business.
6B.
I second that. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I was trying to figure out where that was gonna come in. So can we talk about training and what's available to us, that we can draw on? I mean, I've been, creating a manual for myself of the town code, the state code and stuff like that, but what other kind of training is available to us, Matt, that you're aware of?
I researched it a little
Oh,
bit,
excellent.
Matt,
Thank
if
you.
it's
No,
okay.
please.
There is a certified planning commissioner program run by VCU that Jim had told me about. The tuition is $750. Their first session, the next session coming up would be April. Well, it's a lengthy course. You go to Richmond for 2 days at the beginning of the course, then you have a self-study period of something, and go to Richmond for 2 more days to close out the course.
Okay,
The first session begins April 7 through 8 in Richmond. And I didn't write down the 2 closing dates. The next session begins July 28, 29, again in Richmond. I personally am already committed to a different conference, April 7 and 8, so I would request to go to the July one.
Do you think we could use a train the trainer and have one person go and then
Fantastic.
back and share that? That would be a little bit more budget sensitive.
Right. 1 or 2 at the most, I think we could use to train a trainer.
I think
Mhm.
that's an option, but presumably there's a certification at the end of this package.
Fair
So
point.
anyone who didn't go would not get this certification, if that makes a difference to anybody. And I don't know if the materials are copyrighted or they might be.
And is there an online?
Most of
option?
it is online.
yeah, most of it is apparently online.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the only one I could find in
Yeah.
the state that would be, state specific.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want someone to do it in April, I could do it in April. I couldn't do it later. It would be hard for me to do the July one, but I could go and do do it in April.
As chair, I think that would be
Excellent.
Yeah,
the right move. And then that's the question about a second one. Then maybe one in July or a second one in April to make it so that there are, some sort of synergies or
yeah,
complementarity effects or something if you have somebody else going through the same program with you.
yeah.
I think
So-
we have to request a budget too.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, we need a budget. We do need a budget. I looked at, I was looking at some of the state legislation and it doesn't have to be a big budget, but I think we're gonna need a budget.
I think
Especially
the-
if we start having conversations about things like infrastructure.
I think, town council has, we budget for professional development.
Okay,
And there's only a few more months left in the year, so maybe, you could make the ask of, look, I'd like to use 750 plus travel. you know, so
Okay,
call it 1,500.
okay. All right, well, I'll do shall I do an email message to everybody about this?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Well, to tell people that
Well,
should I do a message to town council, correspond with town council, telling them that I want to do this program?
I suspect you're gonna have to come to council.
Oh, yeah, I would come to council, but I don't want to,
It's not a material dollar amount that's underneath. I think if, I wouldn't ask council to vote by email,
right,
but I think we could get consensus at the next meeting without having to make a big presentation out of it.
and I'll check and see what the registration date is, if there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So just so I understand, so you're agreeing to do it for the April meeting,
yes,
April session?
yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else interested in going in April or July?
I mean, I guess. We want to understand what type of budget is available first to determine.
Oh.
Or we want to go the other approach.
I could send you guys the link from VCU if you'd like, that way you could get the
Okay.
course description,
Yeah,
if anybody else is interested.
Training the trainer suggests one person goes and then really trains the rest of us. So that
You
not
don't get
only-
any certification, of course, but you get the knowledge.
Right, which is.
right,
Yeah, they used to had a big binder with books on the different units of the training, so. I don't think they have any restrictions on copying that.
Okay.
But it used to be run by Virginia Tech, now it's run by VCU.
okay, well, let me look into that, and then what we could do is plan, so if I do this, and it would be April and then late April or May, I guess, for the second session. And then what I could do is we could come up, let me assess what, is the information we need to share and figure out how whether we're gonna do this through regular meetings or whether we need to schedule a half a day or some time to really go through it, right? We can plan I hate to use the word retreat, it makes everybody's skin crawl, but a time where we could do this. I had too many retreats in my professional career.
So we'll know that. You'll let us know once you've
Right,
found that information out. Okay, good enough. Can do that by email or whatever.
okay. All right, so if you'll send the link to that, then I'll look at it and I can plan to register for April.
And Paul should plan on running the April meeting because April 7th is the
Right.
date of our meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
so you'll run
I
that
can-
meeting.
I can step up for that.
Okay. Okay. And in the meantime, we should also see what's available through the Virginia Municipal League or some other things like that are just publications or other things that we could do or other workshops. And we can do research on that and see what's available and whether we should have a small library. Okay. Okay, anything else about that item? Anybody want to add anything else about that item? Okay, old business. There is none. Anything, anybody, do you have anything you want to raise? Is this where yeah, you have your town manager update. So, okay, well, so let's move along to that. If everybody's fine with that, let's move on to the town manager update.
Thanks. I have two items that are going to be of interest to you folks. One is, where Duncan Manor is? It's on the way in, it's the airstrip.
Yeah,
Okay, so we know where the airstrip is. Those are already plotted parcels. And the developer is building coastal residences, has purchased that parcel. Those are already plotted and they're planning on building one home on two parcels. They're little parcels.
Yeah,
So they'll combine them with the county and build one house. So it'll be one every other one. It's contingent on the water from the town currently is scheduled to go where the old Colwell Banker guitar pick. There's a service road that goes right back
Yeah.
in there. That's ours, and that was gonna go, there's a 12-inch water line that runs that way, and it was gonna go across Fairgrounds, and that's what was gonna service coastal residences. All water systems in a system like that have to be in a loop. It's just the way it works. It's the way, it's just the way it works. So the question then becomes, can they build these houses in the airstrip with the water starting over that way? Because then there's no loop. If you think about it, it goes straight across the street,
yeah,
turns right up the airfield, and that's it. And that doesn't work. So way back when Coastal got their permit approved, and the town was thinking far, far ahead, gratefully. The 12-inch line that goes to the hospital also has a basin where it can cross over near Taylor Bank
mm-hmm,
on this side of Taylor Bank and run back through that way. That connects it to coastal residences, and it also allows for this loop for these houses to be built. They are planning on building these first. So that's where the conversation right now is taking place. Says, when you coastal residents went to County of Accomack and said, we're gonna do this, you had the water coming out from Coldwell Banker. Now you're saying you want to come across the street, across 178, over by Taylor Bank, still connected to coastal residences, but allow for these additional dwellings. So
okay, I'm confused. I'm a little confused about that. So what they're talking about is, okay, so first of all, it's out of town, so it's
Yes.
not a question of us.
There's no approval for you.
There's no
This is
approval for anything.
information only.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is not part of that larger development, or it is part of that enormous development, or what is this?
Same developer.
Same developer?
I don't know whether they've changed names for one versus the other and whatnot, or the house styles. These are
people.
single family dwellings.
Yeah.
The others are more apartment and townhouse dwellings, so completely different feel.
Well, I don't have any, problem with them being, I mean, I'd be fine if they were apartment dwellings, but I'm, why would you want to have them empty out onto a road where the traffic is 45 miles an hour?
Well, that part of it that's VDOT's job, that's the
Yeah, I
county's
know.
job.
I know.
All I'm doing is letting you know that there is movement in this direction.
Okay.
It affects a town asset that we've already given them permission to tie in.
Mhm.
I'm just letting you know
Okay.
what's moving. So another thing that's moving, and this part is a little strange, but do you see the lovely little townhouses here?
Yeah,
They're lovely, yes, okay. Those are proposed workforce housing units for town, inside of town. Different developer, different concept. The owner of the land is eager to sell. It would be I can't tell you which piece of land it is because it may affect the price or the negotiations. So that's the part where this gets weird.
And it's within the town limits?
It is absolutely dead center of the town limits. So, and it's also, in my humble opinion, it is in a spot that really works. It's not, so I think that's where I left it. The question on the table and the question they're asking is, meaning, I'm speaking as them now. We don't want to go in and spend a fortune coming up with plans and, plots and negotiations with lawyers and purchasing. If the town says, oh, no, we're not going to allow workforce housing in this town,
How many units are they proposing?
100.
Is it allowed in the district, in the zoning district they're proposing it for?
Currently
meet
it's
the zoning
zoned,
requirements?
currently it's zoned for subdivision. So there's no
They
plots.
need to make their purchase contract contingent on approval from the town of Minnetonka.
Well, of course.
So that's.
And they also have to meet the,
Is, we can't.
once they come up with the parcel size. Once they come up with the structure size, then they're gonna have to zone it that way. Once it gets zoned that way, then everything becomes,
If it, yeah, if it meets the.
if it meets the
comprehensive plan
zoning,
and
yeah,
the zoning,
exactly.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan, the current comprehensive plan was, the weakest section of it was on housing.
Mhm.
And it was because nobody wanted to talk about anything except single-family residences, and they were extremely worried about that, and it's not, it was not a very strong part of in fact, I think it was the weakest part of the comprehensive plan in many respects. But that reflected the commissioners at the time, I think, pretty strongly. I guess my concern would be, so it's within, so it's not a question of, because, I'm really hot on boundary adjustment, but, so it's within our boundary. It's
Yes,
100 units, it's townhouse units.
yes.
See, the big problem is not knowing where the thing is. I mean, I
There's
think,
no decision for us now.
yeah,
No.
there's no decision for us.
Well, the
now.
decision is, would you allow 100 units of workforce development housing?
We don't know what it is. We need
Yeah,
an
we don't know what it
application.
is.
We need an application.
Yeah.
And a
Okay.
development plan.
Yeah, because I'm not adverse to it, but that's just not enough information, that I'm sort of feeling like, and where is that, where is that going? I mean, I have some thoughts about where it might go. But and we're going to require them to build sidewalks. We need to change the zoning ordinance, so anybody who builds a house builds sidewalks, is required to put in sidewalks. Well, don't laugh, it's serious, it's a serious problem.
I think the bigger issue is the information issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
And that
Well,
we can't.
The information is like, I absolutely understand your concerns and your questions. It's just one of those things where they want to know if you're interested, if you have enough interest for them to make an application. And I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, you'll receive their application.
I mean, of course, isn't that their right
All right.
to make
Of
an
course it's
application?
Yes,
your
they're
right.
right to make an
Happy to look for
application.
his application.
Um,
Same logic to ask if there's an interest when you can't get enough information to see what it is they're really asking to do.
Right.
Well, if you as a group said, no, we don't want workforce housing, they could save themselves about $100,000 in legal fees.
I'm not adverse to workforce housing because there's such a tremendous housing problem in the community. And I think we have to address it, and single family houses on a quarter acre or half acre are not going to solve it. It's got to be in the right location. So, yeah, it's got to be in the right location. So I guess that's what I would say, is that I just would just like more information on the location.
Okay.
Okay, and then I also want to see some things like, are they gonna ameliorate access, to the road? Are they gonna, are we gonna just have marching little rows, or are we gonna try something like cul-de-sacs, or, get a sense of
See
that?
what you're saying.
Yeah, some plans that are a little more creative than what we see on Jefferson, which is a nightmare. I really hate that. Because it's just, it's not sensitive to the it's not sensitive to the environment, and it's also, they're nice little houses, but it's just not a particularly attractive approach when you could be doing something that was cul-de-sacs or other approaches to using to the space. So I would love to see some visuals.
Well, I'm gonna ask them to put their application in. It would probably, in all likelihood, have to be a zoning change. And that'll tell you the location.
Yeah,
Could you explain the zoning change to me, Matt? You said it was already zoned subdivision?
Right, but if it were R1A, for example, I believe like Mount Prospect is all R1B.
mm-hmm,
If these are multiple units, they're gonna have to be R2.
mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have to make an application to change parcel A, B, and C to R2. And that's gonna tell you exactly where they are and exactly what
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah,
What's the zoning for a subdivision? What is that?
I don't know that it's actually a zone for subdivision.
I
It's,
need to learn. about
Fletcher can
zoning.
help me with this. I know that
That's just the process you go through.
Okay.
Right.
Anything.
anytime you explode a parcel beyond 4, it creates a subdivision, and those requirements are pretty expensive, like all the utilities, all the sidewalks, all that type of thing.
Right.
Right.
Right. Okay, well, that's it. I would say let them put in an application. Let's see where it is. I've got a list of a couple of locations I'm gonna put bets on, and we'll see.
Do you? All right.
Just to close it out, I'm cognizant of the costs for the developer, but I think I'm here for the town.
Yeah,
And so I'm just saying that as a general concept, not
No,
as
this
anything
was
else.
this
And I-
was a sniff
No,
test. I
oh,
mean,
no,
if you guys
No,
were
no,
interested.
you're exempt from my comment.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't directed at you at all. So-
yeah, I'm not comfortable till we know a little bit.
Well, you're not being asked to do anything.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
sharing information that this is moving along. If you said a hard pass,
Right,
then it would be a hard pass.
okay. Okay,
That's all I've got. Thank you.
okay, now it's time for comments from the commissioners, if they have public comments. Or comments, or if they want to introduce themselves, if we want to introduce ourselves to each other a little more. And we can start at this end with John.
I've been here 3.5 years, almost 4 years. And glad to be here.
Okay,
I like this comment out for the town.
yeah, me too, me too.
Jeff Adler, down on Fort Market, although not living there right now. And we've been here, I think, a little over 2 years.
We're currently,
I'm sorry,
we're currently.
yes, see the gray house, yeah. Blue gray, yeah, it looks nice.
Pacific Blue, I can't help it.
That was nice, a nice choice.
I'm Cindy Holdren. I'm on the the town council. I was trying to figure out how many years I've lived here. I think it's 54 now.
Wow, yeah. Okay, you win, I think. We'll find out. So I'm Casey Greer. I've been in Onancock part-time for, actually, I've been in town 26 years, full-time since the beginning of 2020. My husband's been full-time here a little bit longer, about 5 years before that. And yeah, so there you go. I live at 74 Market Street. We're the people who do the aliens at Halloween. So if you've had, yeah, we do the 48 hours of aliens. So, and we can always use more people on the alien team if you want to come and participate, because the theme this next year is a dance party from outer space. So, so any rate, that's me.
Paul Whitesell, I live in Mount Prospect area, that I've been here 20 some odd years. And just putting my shoulder to the wheel for the, hopefully the public good. So a lot of times I ask questions or just to get them open. I don't have any emotional commitment to all sorts of things. Something that I do want to mention though, is I think on the 13th of this month, according to the legal notices in the Eastern Shore Post, that the county planning commission is going to take up some sort of, this has nothing to do with what Matt said, but some sort of development south of Fairgrounds Roads or something. And that you might want to look at thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that very much. So that might be something that one of us
Yeah.
might want to attend. And I would volunteer the chair for that.
Thanks a lot.
uh,
Yep. I
But
think
just,
someone else.
just so
should go.
everybody else knows too.
Yeah, and I want someone else to go, and then we can have cocktails afterwards.
And I look forward to working with everyone. You know, I thank you.
Jim McGowan, I've been in Hancock going on 35 years, bought my house 31 years ago on King Street. And it's great to meet everybody, and I look forward to working with you.
Okay, and I
And
think,
I love the town. That's why I moved.
yeah,
Exactly.
I know. Well, we
I'll
came,
tell you the story about when I first came to town.
yeah, you want,
Not
not now? I had the same thing. We came up here, my brother had bought his house at 21 North Street, and we came up from South Carolina, and we were gonna buy property in the mountains in North Carolina. And we came here for Thanksgiving and went, oh, wait a minute. How about this? And that was the beginning. And we bought a house that we couldn't even live in because the wiring was coming apart in our hands. So, okay. Let's see, Commissioner comments. May I have, I must say, I'm really looking forward to, I think this is going to be it's an interesting, important time in the town. There's a lot of important stuff to think about. And, I think that this, although the circumstances that led to my appointment led to some uproar, I actually think that this is, looks like a really good working group, and I look forward to working with everybody. So, so may I have a motion to adjourn?
Should we have any public comments just in case?
Oh, yeah. Are there any public comments now?
I have a question about that hearing, because I was looking that up right as you.
Yeah.
said it. I thought that subdivision and the, whatever they're trying to do was already approved. So does anybody have any information about what additional changes they're requesting at this point?
I do not, but I do know that, I do not, but I think we, have access to the packet now, on the county website, and I was gonna go look it up. If you want, Sarah, I can do that in it. No
Yeah.
problem, happy to do it.
Yeah, because that's the same property, right? This is the same property?
Well, but I don't know. I mean, I was confused when I saw it, and so
Okay.
that's why I'm volunteering you to go.
Oh, thanks a lot. Okay, on that note, let's have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned. Anybody want to go to that meeting? Oh, I need a vote. All in favor? Aye. Okay, I'm really hoping someone will go to that meeting with me, Paul.